Hello and welcome back. With Halloween fast approaching, I thought I would rank my top 10 vampire movies, and the reason for this is I have done Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, all the usual slashers to death over the last few years, like watched them around Halloween time, and I'm getting nothing from them at the moment, so I'm going to give them a year off. So I'm picking my top 10 vampire films. And I'm going to start with Fright Night 2. Now, this is not as good as the first one. However, it does try and it has a lot of the charm of the first one. And the chemistry is there for Charlie Brewster and Peter Vincent. The only thing it's truly lacking is the talent of Chris Sarandon. We are missing him in this one. However, the villain, his sister, she does a fine job. The problem with it is it feels a bit like a rehash, and it doesn't have the same magic as the first one. However, overall, it's not a bad film. These are my top 10, so I'm not here to diss them. Then I'm going to go with Vamp, starring Grace Jones.
Did you ever have one of those nights?
This is one of those that you should watch because it's got the 80s grit that we all desire and want to see. It just goes hand in hand with vampire movies. The problem with it is there isn't that many vampire movies that are good. Like, you'll be like, what? You go, I can name 10. Go on then. You name me 10 that you can honestly say are good, that you are all good. This list was very difficult, so I'm going to put Vamp there. I recommend watching it. It's not amazing, but it's good. It's good. It's good because of the content and the tone, and it's spooky. And it's got Grace Jones in. What more do you want? Okay, next. I've reviewed this before. It's John Carpenter's Vampires. This is pretty much a rip-off of From Dusk Till Dawn in its tone, its location settings, and its music. However, it's got that John Carpenter cheapness, and it's got James Woods, which makes up for everything that I have just said that it's copied. And James Woods is pretty phenomenal in this film. This is a good vampire movie if you just want to see action and run-of-the-mill predictability of how they destroy the vampires. There is nothing new brought to the table in this. However, it's a great action film and it's got that 90s vibe. And Terry Silver is in this, so watch it for him. And yeah, I'm calling him Terry Silver.
His mother, maybe?
Next for me is Bram Stoker's Dracula. This isn't particularly scary, it's more of a romance film and I like it for that. I love how love has no boundaries and time. He is obsessed with Wilhelmina and that power of love is amazing. The lengths he goes to are extreme and the vows that he takes to become Dracula are a broken man. The signs of a broken man, and I like that. I like the way he's like, I will do anything, and it's that power of love is what makes this film so good. And it's got some really spooky, fantastic acting from Gary Oldman and the rest of the crew, except for Keanu Reeves. He lets this film down, and I'm not going to defend anything about his performance. It is shit, but the rest of it is good. Keanu Reeves is not a good actor. When people realise that, the world will be a better place. He's a nice guy, but that does not mean he's a good actor. Like, if you can tell me a performance where he's good, and show me it and say, like, he's really, really good, show me, and I will watch it. So, next for me is The Lost Boys from 1987. Joel Schumacher doing his finer work. I'm on the fence with this film. It's brilliant, but it's also very kid-friendly. I loved this as a kid growing up. I think this is more suitable for young teens. It's still a great movie though, and Kiefer Sutherland plays a very challenged, torn vampire. Like, he has got so much depth, and the acting behind the eyes is you feel sorry for this man. You don't know how long he's been a vampire for, but you can tell that he's not happy with it. He wants to welcome, and I love that aspect of it. as in he's bored. He's bored with the Lost Boys. He wants somebody else in his crew. And I like that, and not enough people talk about that. They talk about all the goofy stuff, the Corey Feldman shit, you know? But with what I've just said is, if you look at the way Kiefer plays him, you will get more from this. So I'm putting that one there. Great film, but kid-friendly. Okay, next for me in my journey of vampire movies that I enjoy watching is Innocent Blood. Now, this is a comedy, but it doesn't take away from the fact that there are some horror elements in this. We've got Robert Loggia, or Loggia, whatever you want to pronounce it. Fine actor. He just really hams it up in this. John Landis loves to add comedy to his horrors, and in this one it works. It's got that 90s tone. Anthony LaPlasia. Anthony LaPlasia. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's good in it. And The Gorgeous Vampire, like, it's just a good film. Like, just take it for what it is. It's a comedy. It's silly. Enjoy it. So yeah, like that one. Then we've got Blade 2. I like Blade 2. It's good. I don't really like any of the other Blade films, if I'm honest. They bore me. But Blade 2's got heart, it's got soul. Very well directed compared to the first one. Special effects, it jumps, leaps and bounds compared to the first one. Wesley Snipes really embraces the character in this one. And it's got heart. Everything that the other two Blade movies didn't have. This one's got it. Like, the first one is a paint-by-numbers ritual movie with the CGI blood dripping down. I prefer Blade 2. It's up there for me. Now, this was tricky. I mean, all of these are good. These are ones I'm going to be watching. But From Dusk Till Dawn, half of this film is a road movie. Half of it is this crazy, you've never seen anything like it, vampire, epic disaster. Just it's amazing. Two tones brought together in harmony, and it's Robert Rodriguez directing at his best, in my opinion. I love the dynamic between the Gecko brothers. Everybody who stars in this film does a good job. It is memorable, it's rewatchable, and I watch it periodically, like every year. It's that good. So, we've got Fright Night, the original from 1985. This one really has stayed with me for years. The idea of a vampire moving in next door and basically killing women, prostitutes, whatever he could find. You know, he needed to eat. However, Charlie Brewster, it's not acceptable, so he tries to get the law involved, and we get to see a phenomenal...
Jerry Dandridge was a serial murderer, cult worshiper, kidnapper. He abducted my girlfriend Amy and my friend Ed Thompson, and this triggered a
Jerry Dandridge gives Charlie Brewster a chance. He said, just forget about me. Let me do what I'm doing. You do your thing. But Charlie can't do that. And this is why Chris Sarandon's acting and dialogue is so beautiful, and you feel a sympathy for him. You actually, in a way, want him to beat Charlie. Because he said, just leave me alone. Leave me alone. It's got some great songs. The soundtrack for this film, Fright Night, is wonderful. I listen to that regularly, and the acting is good, and the comedy is good, and the relationship and the chemistry between Peter Vincent and Charlie Brewster is excellent. So I would put Fright Night there. So finally, I would say this is now my new favourite vampire movie, and that's Near Dark, coming out I think in 1987, the same year as Lost Boys. This gives me everything adult that I needed from the Lost Boys. Everything that I lacked from the Lost Boys, it gives me. It fills the void. It gives you an amazing performance from Bill Paxton. Lance Henriksen as the evil Kiefer Sutherland-like leader who has no mercy, really. Like, it's a dirty film, but it's a good film. and I will be rewatching this regularly. I've told everybody to watch Near Dark. I'd never even heard of it, and I'm meant to be a film buff. It was a gem that I welcomed so well. You know when you're just like, wow, it blew me away, because it was cheaply made but done in a high standard, and it has all of the 80s grit that you could want. The soundtrack is haunting, beautifully directed, and like I say, Paxton, I would go as far as to say that Bill Paxton, this is my favourite role, because he tries to do something different. He doesn't act like the douchebag that he does in everything else, or the boring man. In this one, he is, you believe that he is badass, and like he will mess you up. He always shows a vulnerability in everything else that he's ever been in, but in this one, I don't see it. Like, he's villainous. So yeah, I'm gonna say Near Dark. So yeah, these are my top 10 vampire films. It changes periodically. I could have put From Dusk Till Dawn 3 in there, The Hangman's Daughter, but I didn't. That is also worthy of being in the top 10, but which one would I replace? None of them. There isn't that many good vampire films. I did mention this before. I would love for you to tell me which ones are really good so I could find them, watch them and enjoy them. I will not entertain Twilight or anything related to that. So I'm just going to leave them there.